evening. We welcome you to our City Council meeting. On the roll, we announce that all are present. We have a full quorum, and appreciate everyone being here. We will now go to our opening ceremony. Councilman Bueller.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd ask that all rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
As far as any special recognitions, I think everything is tied in with our next item on the agenda. So we will go right to our awards ceremonies. And first we have Councilman Hughes.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it very much. Here, just read the letter. Tyson's weight is please stand up, please. Won't take long. On December 4, we responded to a call where a little girl complained of a headache. While she was at the house, she noticed there was no furniture in the apartment. The kitchen area and living room were unfinished. The patient and her mother had been sleeping on the floor with a blanket. The girl ended up staying at home with the mother and not being transported to the hospital. The mother appeared to be single with her 3 little girls in the apartment. Tyson's weight had the idea that we should give something to help out the family. He tried several different ways to help them out. He tried to get them on the Sub for Santa list and tried to get help from a union. Due to the waiting period of both options, he decided to take the matter into his own hands. He approached several people from his crew and asked other people in our department for donation for the cause. Through some very generous giving from himself, our crew, and others, Tyson was able to raise $500 to give to the family. He got the family a Christmas card with a $500 Visa card in it, 3 stuffed animals, 3 advent calendars, a stocking full of candy and coloring books, and 3 fire helmets for the little girls. On December 10, Tyson made contact with the mother to see if we could bring something by for them. She seemed very surprised on the phone. We took a fire engine and 2 ambulances to deliver the items. The little girls were so excited to see us with stuffed animals and goodies. They could hardly hold still. The mother was so appreciative of the items donated. What a great experience for everyone involved. The mother told us that she is currently in the process of getting a divorce. She had only been in the apartment for a little while and was working on getting something finishing for the home. She says the money would help out greatly and she could buy the little girls some winter boots. In my opinion, Tyler went way above the call of duty, using his off-duty time and funds to help out someone less fortunate in our city. It not only reflects greatly on the fire department, but the whole city of Westwood City. Thank you, Tyson.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just as a final comment, thank you for your service and for exemplifying not just the qualities of our fire department, but of the people who represent us as a city going far and beyond the call of duty. It sets a great example, and we appreciate you being part of our fire department.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Next, we will go to Councilman Bueller for the next recognition.
Thank you, Mayor. And maybe a question for Mr. Pyle. These detectives, are they all undercover now? Because none of them are here. Do we want to save this for a time when they are here to be recognized?
I'm not sure why they're not here, Mayor.
I couldn't tell that, so
Okay, I believe this is the team that's been involved in the missing person, kidnapping, and homicide case, and they have been pretty much working sun up to sundown, getting that case squared away and all the paperwork together for the subsequent prosecution.
Thanks, Chief. So, Mayor, how would you like us to proceed? We can delay it, or we can read it now, whatever the council preference.
we would certainly prefer to recognize them publicly with them here, and we'll leave that to Chief Russell to arrange that at a future committee meeting or council meeting, if that's okay. Thank you, Councilman Bueller, for bringing that to our attention. We'll save that for another time. Okay, now we go to our public comment period, and I did not receive a note that anyone had signed up to speak.
Okay, Mayor, no sign up.
No sign up, okay. No one has any public comments? Any city manager comments to the comments that weren't made?
No, sir.
Or council comments? Okay. And I'll get this a little more organized than last week. We are going to accept public input regarding application number S2 2013 from UDOT. I'll declare that open. Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll come back to the council.
Close the hearing.
We'll close the public hearing portion and come back to the council for comment and discussion or action. Councilman Vincent.
Mayor, I move for approval of ordinance 1408 or 06.
Okay, we have a motion before
A
us.
second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Councilman Vincent?
No, sir.
Okay. These are pretty straightforward, so we may not have much discussion at all. Then with that, we'll place it to the council. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. Now we open the public input regarding application number SV8 2013. Again, another one with UDOT. Anyone here to speak on that? Seeing no one in the public to comment, we'll close public input, come back to the council.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance 1407.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just to know that this is all of Cranston Cove, Strickland Place, and a portion of Timber Oaks and the Hunter Cove subdivision.
Thank you. Any discussion further? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. We'll now accept public input regarding application number SV2 2013. And I use those because that's what the public's familiar with. Again, another UDOT change, a fairly routine item. Any public input? Seeing none, we'll close the public input portion and come back to the council for motion, action, or discussion.
Mayor, I would move for approval of ordinance number 1409, vacating lots 301, 302, 321 through 332 of the Golden Arrow Cove in the Golden Hilltop Estates subdivision.
Well, wait a minute, that was the wrong one.
Sorry.
So,
08.
if you would restate your motion
Let's,
on item
this
number
is
C.
9201 then. I would move, Mayor, that we approve ordinance 1408, vacating lots 11 through 21 and all of Wayward Circle in the Golden Hilltop Estates subdivision phase 1.
Great.
Second.
Motion before us, and we have a second. Any discussion?
No.
Okay. Seeing none from the council, then we'll place that motion for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. We'll now go to open and accept public input regarding application number SV 10-2013 from UDOT in similar area there along the corridor. Seeing none from the public, we'll close public comment. We'll come back to the council for action.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance 1409.
Okay, we have a motion before us.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Any discussion to this one? This is a continuation of the similar ones along Mountain View. Then we'll place it to vote of the council. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. Now we'll go to accepting public input regarding application number ZT7 2013, requesting an ordinance text amendment regarding pawn shop regulation. This one is a little more interesting, perhaps. Perhaps not. Any public input? Oh. No public input. No one here. So we will close the public input portion of the discussion and come back to the council for action.
Motion to approve ordinance number 14-10, enacting section 7-2-131.
We have the motion before us. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Vincent. We were wondering. Of course, it is up to the council. It is not required to do a second, but any discussion to that?
No.
Councilman Vincent.
Yeah, just, and I think we probably had this answered last week, but just for those who may be watching, just one question of staff, and will this ordinance change affect any applicants that are already filing for to do a pawn shop?
Mr. Pyle, yes.
Thanks, sir. Any application that is in the process right now would not be affected by this change, sir. No.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, Councilman Rushing.
Yeah, just a discussion to the motion. Maybe our lack of a jump in second is due to the fact that maybe we're trying to solve a problem here that maybe doesn't exist. But seeing as how it was healthy and hearty discussion from our planning commission, and they feel very strongly that the direction of our city hinges on us establishing more separation for pawn shops, that although unenthusiastic, I think I can support it and see where it is, with the caution that we monitor this and see if there's any modifications or changes that might need to be made down in the next coming years as our business community continues to change and evolve.
Thank you. Further discussion?
And Mayor, one issue that I have with the proposed ordinance is if we look at the existing pawn shops, we kind of have a pawn shop location or zone, which would be along 35th South and Redwood Road. The new ordinance would basically make future pawn shops in that area disallowed, and then open up a zone further north and a zone further southwest. We might end up with different areas of multiple pawn shops because people wouldn't be able to have them perhaps where they want them, but then moved out, and so now we have 3 zones of pawn shops instead of 1 zone of pawn shops. I'm not sure that that's an unintended, I think that's an unintended potential consequence. And again, I think that Mr. Rushton's right on point that this is we're trying to solve a problem that maybe we don't have. The application that was submitted for a pawn shop is not going to be affected by the ordinance, and yet we're looking for future applications and moving them out to other areas of our city rather than where they would normally fall. That concerns me. Anytime we're taking a step too late to prevent something that's going to happen anyway and don't know the eventual fallout of that step.
Thank you. Councilman Vincent.
I think not unlike our ordinances for check cashing places where our ultimate desire was to reduce the number, and this doesn't necessarily do that, but it does force future stores to essentially be located in manufacturing areas. I don't know if that's more desirable or less desirable, but it does force them into more of commercial manufacturing areas.
Further discussion?
Question of
Rushton.
Councilman Bueller, what suggested action would you recommend on this?
I guess I'm a little bit still on the fence. I'm not vehemently opposed to it. I'm not in favor of it. It's not really a question of number, how many we can have. It doesn't affect the pawn shops that are here or have been applied for. Maybe they're more suitable along the 201 corridor, manufacturing zones away from residences. I just don't know.
Maybe we need to call a vote on this one. That's what you want.
Okay. That wasn't stated as a motion, so.
Yeah.
But there seems to be some more discussion, so Councilman Vincent.
I believe the question, whether or not they're more suitable in manufacturing or residential. I think that's exactly what they're trying to do, is to move them away from residential, where there seems to be a higher crime element, and to move those away from the residential areas. I think, again, I'm not sure we're accomplishing everything we would like to do with this, but going along with Councilman Rushton, his observation that the Planning Commission spent a lot of time with this discussion, and so I would like to support them in their efforts.
Mr. Pyle.
Mayor, I thought maybe I could just give a little bit of support to the idea and rationale behind it, not even necessarily from the ideas that are presented in the issue paper, but more along the development and redevelopment and overall effort of the city in that range, both commercial and residentially. As an example of a possible issue that could arise, I was thinking of a pawn shop application that took place right here on the corner of 35th and 27th not too long ago, about 2 years ago. And it never actually reached the application stage because we honestly weren't in favor of it, given the level of development the higher quality level of development we had going around it, including the Embassy Suites, the mall redevelopment, those sorts of things. And the interested party at the time wanted to bring the pawn shop right there on the northwest corner of the intersection there at 35th and 27th. And while we were able to avoid that at that time, that situation could arise again in many circumstances. And so that's one way that pawn shops can affect negatively, frankly, the commercial development of the city. Would not have been an attractive neighbor to some of the tenants and businesses and projects that we brought in and were bringing in at that time. From a residential standpoint, pawn shops are, I mean, this just makes I think, logical sense that at the same time that we're trying to upgrade the residential stock of the city, here very shortly the council is going to be considering residential construction upgrades which are aimed at the effort of trying to raise the level of investment in terms of homes. Pawn shops around the residential areas are not going to be helpful to that ever, or to encourage that. And of course, we're not just picking on pawn shops either, as well as we consider the overarching and general environment of development and redevelopment in the city. There are a number of uses along those lines that can have a negative influence in that way. Pawn shops just happen to be one of them, or the one that's being considered this evening.
Thank you. Further discussion? Perhaps a question, Mr. Pyle. Obviously, being new on the council can at any point direct that changes be made as further information comes to light.
Yes.
At any point along the way. So if there is a point to where we have information that perhaps this is detrimental or there's an issue, it could always be visited again.
Absolutely, yes.
Or not. Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, back to the maker of the motion.
So, no change.
Okay, then, no further discussion. We'll place the motion for vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. We will now proceed to Resolution 1404 to authorize a change order. And this one, I think maybe, Mr. Pyle, you could do some introduction on it.
You bet. Thank you, sir. So this is a change order on the SR 201 frontage road widening project, also in the area of the 201 Commerce project. It's a storm drain project and would amount to $27,091. This is a project overall valued at over $800,000.
To the council, any discussion or action? Councilman Nordfeld.
Mayor, I move approval of to authorize this change order number 4.
Okay.
Resolution 1404.
Thank you. We have a motion before us.
I'll second.
It has been seconded. And Councilman Nordfeld, any comments? Any discussion to the committee? Okay. That was a great explanation. Got everyone on board. Then we will place that for vote. All in favor of Resolution 1404, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. For the council's benefit, I know I did not go to Mr. Pyle on some of the earlier ones, but these were such technical changes I didn't feel. Remember, at any point in time, you can request clarification, or that I slow down, or that I allow that, or whatever. So this is your meeting. I don't mean to take that away from you, so. Okay. Now we are to the consent agenda. Mr. Pyle, is there anything there we ought to be noted as important? This is consent, so I assume it's pretty straightforward.
Only if there are questions, sir. I'm good.
Thank you.
Mayor, I would move approval of the 4 items of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion before us and a second to ratify the 4 consent items, which consist of a special warranty deed and reappointment of 3 people to committees, as outlined on our agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none. We'll place it for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion passes unanimously. We asked for any comments earlier, so I assume that we are done for the evening. I remind you again of our upcoming session in 2.5 weeks, January 31st and 1st. I hope you can all be there. And so, with that,
Motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That was a non-debatable motion. Thank you all for being here tonight. That took not too much time.